Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee and Chat with Hallee Bridgeman. I'm so happy you could join me. I have my cup of coffee, so grab a cup of coffee or tea or whatever you drink and take a few minutes while we chat. So it's the Monday morning after spring break. My family has been gone since last Friday. We left Friday right after school. The kids' backpacks were in the car all week. And we hit West Virginia to visit my parents. And then we went up to Pennsylvania where Greg was working and grabbed him and went down to North Carolina and visited his dad. Up in Pennsylvania was fun because we went to Yuengling Brewery, which is the oldest brewery in the United States. And I love history like that. And I love like old buildings and like walking through hallways and thinking of like generations of people that have walked through there. That's one of my loves. And so that was really neat. And then we went to Hershey chocolate place up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The boys had a lot of fun. And then we drove down to North Carolina, visited Greg's dad and his brother, and then to South Carolina and visited our best friends and spent a couple days with our families, just kind of, abiding in each other. And then came home and got an 11 last night. So I'm a little foggy, and I have a lot of work to do this week. I have a book that should have been done before I left. I have another chapter to write. And then I have to start editing Valerie's Verdict. And so it's going to be a really intense week, and I'm excited to have it all done. When I was telling my friend Sherry the plot of Valerie's Verdict, when I got to like an important part, like she started crying and I said, "Oh no." And she said, "No, these are good tears. I can't wait to read this book." So it helped me affirm like a plot line that I was working on that I was a little concerned was not a good one, but apparently it evoked an emotional reaction to someone who hadn't even had a chance to like get into the characters. And so I think that's great. I'm excited. Okay, so today's question is, you include a lot of passion in your books. How do you find the balance between passion, intimacy, and crossing the line in your writing? And so I love that question so much. And I have no idea how to answer it without stumbling around. I should have probably picked an easier one, as exhausted as I am, but I will attempt it. All right, so I'm glad that this wasn't a question that said, you use a lot of passion in your books, don't you think it's wrong? Because one of the things that I do as a writer is my books are character driven. And so in order to be character driven, you need to be sincere and realistic with emotions and reactions and actions. And so, one of the things that I have a lot of impatience with is, good morning, Sarah, and good morning, Sue, is when an author has this entire plot driven around like a misunderstanding or something that a simple form of communication would solve. And that's actually like a trope. That's actually something that is like something you can like pick all of these popular forms of media, movie, TV, book, or whatever, and say that's in that. Like if they had just spoken to each other, that would have been solved and we wouldn't have had a book or a movie or a TV show. And so I find I don't like that, and I don't think that is something that real life people experience. I feel like real life people communicate with each other, and they clear misunderstandings, or it's apparent when there's a misunderstanding. And so even if the misunderstanding doesn't get cleared, the whole lack of communication, whatever, I'm getting on a rabbit trail. So I'm really careful as I write to make sure that I am always honest with emotion and the way that human beings act and interact and react to each other. And so, one thing that I was never a reader of Christian romance before I started writing it. And so I hadn't ever written or read a Christian romance the first time I rewrote Sapphire Ice and changed it from a secular romance to a Christian romance. And I had been a voracious secular romance reader. And so the idea of conveying passion and desire and the romantic emotions that people feel is something that is just what I wanted to do, even if it was a Christian novel. And Nora, you're like the most encouraging person to me. I just feel like I should just call you every day, have you talk to me. So because I read secular romances, which are highly physical, and so when I turned around and started writing Christian romances, what I did was take out like sex and take out any kind of glorifying sin, but then kept the human action and reaction and the passion that a man and a woman feel with each other, because that's real life. And Christians feel passion, and it's a good thing. God designed us to feel it. God designed us to have that kind of desire. Our pheromones react with pheromones, and we have mental responses that turn into physical responses, and that's life. And so, how do I draw the line? What do I cross? So it's not an easy thing to like put into words, like how do I draw a line? Because I know that when I wrote A Carol for Kemp, there was a scene in there when Bobby and Carol, I think they kissed the first time, or maybe it's their first passionate kiss, I can't remember. So, this is a couple that had a one-night stand 10 years before, and they had a daughter. And so it wasn't like they didn't know each other, but so this was a really passionate kiss, and I was really concerned that I had made it too passionate, that I had made like the memories of like what they had before to a parent or whatever. So I sent it to my beta readers who, had read all of my books up to that point and said, have I crossed any lines? And the answer was a resounding no. And so I kept it, and have never had, not a single person has read it and then criticized the passion in it. And so, but things I would never do. I would never take a reader into the bedroom, but I have had them in the bedroom, like with a married couple after. I would never make like lusting after someone who isn't a spouse something that is like good. Like I have in this Dixon Brothers series coming up, I have one of the brothers in his book, he will start off the book off of the path of God. Like, even though he was raised Christian, he's, working on his testimony. And so in the process meets and falls in lust with the female character, and she gets pregnant. And so there's not anything righteous about that relationship, but it's something that turns into something good later. And so, I will have like a different feel to his feelings for her outside of his walk with Christ and outside of a righteous life. And then once he's back on the right path and is no longer seeking rebellion and sin, then his feelings are going to be different, and they're going to be stronger and better and more pure. And he is actually going to notice the difference between what it was like over here and what's like over here, the way God designed it to be. And so that's, so that I don't know if that even answers the question. So I think one of the things about the line that doesn't get drawn is like specific physiological reactions to passion. That's not anyone's business. So they're like, mostly when I write it, it's emotional, but it feels almost physical because of the emotion, the strong emotion being written into the scene. And like I have the book I just finished writing, the one that will be in the Crossroads collection. They've been dating for like 3 years, and they're going to get married, and she's like completely content to not get married. She's like, I like it the way we have it. And his answer to her is, I need the intimacy that comes with marriage. And that I don't need to have him explain what that means. I think that every reader is intelligent enough to be able to understand it, but that's what he says to her, is like, I like this relationship too, but honestly, I need the next step. So, I hope that answered your question. And it's a really complex question. And I almost feel like I need to like write about it. I teach a class, and I think I'm actually teaching at the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, called Red Hot Squeaky Clean Sex. And I can teach on an hour on it, but I don't know if I can condense it to a 7-minute video. So I'm intentional about keeping it real, and I'm intentional about being careful not to glorify anything that would be a stumbling block for someone or that would be a sin for someone. So I hope that answers your question. And thank you for it. Ask me questions like that all the time. I love it. So y'all have a great week. I'm going to get to work on the Crossroads book so that I can finish it in the deadline. And I will see you next Monday. God bless you.